My name is Sidney Warren Head II. I grew up in Cambria Heights, Queens, in New York City. I am the middle of 3 children.
My name is Monique Antoinette McGreer. I'm 33 years old, born in Tucson, Arizona, to Vernon Allen McGreer and Denise Elaine McGreer.
My parents have been married for 39 years, and my grandparents lived across the street, were married for 65 years.
My parents were married before I was born. Around 3 years old, they separated. We left Tucson, Arizona to move to Philadelphia. I remember my mother, struggling with being a single parent. My mom, she was very musical, very talented, a singer. She was the loving type, the smiling type, and she just had a fun air about herself. We moved from Broad Street to Clearfield Street. That's when we fell on hard times.
We grew up in a middle-class family. My parents were the type that always seemed to agree. I never saw them really have a dispute. I learned later as an adult that they had their disputes, they just had them behind closed doors.
I also had examples from my grandparents who were married forever. They were unbreakable, and that's something that made me say, I want to be like that when I get older.
I grew up going to a Lutheran church at the corner of our street. My grandfather was, the only word I have is the proprietor of the church. Like he was the go-to guy. If they needed something, they called Mr. Head. He was involved in everything. My grandmother was in the choir. Me and my brothers went to church every Sunday, whether we wanted to or not.
My mom was a praying woman, so she prayed, she taught me how to pray. We all were praying. She made us not feel our circumstances. And that's something that she put in us, that our everyday approach to life would not be a reflection of what we were going through. We wound up back with my grandparents because it just wasn't livable. There was too much we were going through in that house. There was so much negativity, and it was hard for her to maintain her positive in that place shortly after she died.
I worked, I went to school, and ended up at 23 years old in the same place, like just not knowing what to do next. And so I went back to the first thing I wanted to do, and I joined the Navy. The Navy helped me focus and find myself as an adult. I ended up being a computer network administrator. I got to see parts of the world that I probably would have never seen. It was a great experience overall. I was on a ship for just shy of 5 years. After that, I transferred to a shore command in New Jersey, and I met who will become my wife, and her name is Chevelle. When I met her, she had 9-year-old twins, Taylor and Tyler.
I grew up on a military base, and on military bases, young adults, teenagers, you are basically under the thumb of your parents. The moment that you break free into fast experiences. Fast experiences leads to fast lives and hookups, basically. That didn't always lead into good experiences. That never lasted long. It wasn't really intended to last long. One thing I know about myself from childhood through to adulthood, I always found a place to worship. My mother kept me in church as a young child. I craved it. It was something I had to have. It became my strength. So when I went to different places, I would find somebody to go to church with.
I've been married for almost 9 years, and my wife and I, we had our ups and downs. No marriage is perfect. We had some struggles. We had to seek some counseling, but we worked at our marriage. I wanted it to be a partnership. That's what I believed in. I believed that your husband or your wife should be a partner. You're a team going forward. And we had fought through some issues, and I felt like we had came out on the other end and we were in a better place.
I'm reintroduced to a guy that I used to go to church with. We were childhood friends. And at the time, he was locked up. When my cousin told me that he was in jail, I decided to write him. And I can remember that my first letter to him was just encouraging. We became pen pals. Eventually, it became a relationship. We got to know each other, and our family spent time together. He didn't really spend time with my family because my family wasn't interested.
At the end of July in 2011, over the weekend, she wasn't feeling well. She had been taking medication because of her heart condition. She wasn't able to hold anything down. So, it wasn't that bad on Saturday. It got a little worse on Sunday. When Monday came, I said, if I come home from work today and you still don't feel well, if you're still not holding things down, we're going to the hospital.
I was pregnant, and I went to the doctor, and I had the checkup and everything like that, and I was almost 3 months. I remember us going through some things. He was starting to stay out all night, and he was starting to lie about where he was. He just was never where he was supposed to be. It was like he would go with me to the hospital, and then he would leave.
He explained that if she got a pacemaker / defibrillator put in, that if something happened, that would keep her heart working the way it needed to, at least till she could get to the hospital. It sounded like the best thing. The way they described it, it wasn't supposed to be a very long procedure. During the surgery, when they were doing the installation, she went into a cardiac arrest. They were able to stabilize everything. They got the device installed, and she's resting. And then you start hearing the overhead speaker, and they're starting to call codes. I almost lost it. All the things you could fear in those moments are there. And he came back somewhere between 5 and 7 minutes later and said, they couldn't bring her back and it was over.
What I needed was to see him, and he wasn't there for that moment. He wasn't there. It felt like I was dead on the inside, like I wasn't a safe place for anything to grow.
Coming out of being in a really sad time and just trying to bring myself out of it, I needed to meet people.
Sydney and I met on a dating website called blackpeoplemeet.com.
I still had feelings to sort out. She had feelings to sort out too.
He was willing to wait. He was willing to do those things that would make me feel comfortable in a relationship going forward.
Within the first month of Monique and I dating and spending time together, I started to realize that this had the potential to be something really good long term. Taylor and Tyler, the twins, just because their mother isn't here anymore doesn't mean they're not my kids. Over the 9 years before she passed, we developed our own relationships. Had to go from being friendly to being parent-child, which is also a very interesting transition. Okay, how do I create this opportunity for everybody to be in the same place and her not be tipped off about what was about to happen? Her parents and her sister decided they were going to go to the nail salon and get their nails done. And I was like, this could be an opportunity.
So I'm in there getting my nails done, and in walks my mom. Then in walks my sister. Then in walks my dad. And I'm saying, oh, how nice. All of us is here together. And I'm like, this is really getting weird.
I acted like I dropped something, and I went down to one knee and I pulled the ring out, and I asked her, would she marry me?
It's like the whole moment stopped. Everything was silent around me. He was even silent. I couldn't hear a thing except my head. I was having a mind scream moment. All I could hear in my head was ah! We had made it a point to be celibate and to save our, intimate moments for marriage.
Her parents spearheaded the wedding. We were going to do something smaller and intimate, but they intervened and said, no, you can concentrate on the marriage. We'll give you a wedding.
I remember seeing him standing there when I'm coming down.
Seeing her at the end when she got down the aisle, because I had no idea what the dress looked like. I didn't know what she was going to look like, made up for a wedding. And it was, that was a beautiful moment.
The first dance was amazing. Him singing to me singing to him. The kiss from the ceremony. It was like, I am kissing my husband. Yes! My husband being able to have his best friend of 20-something years standing right beside him. And it's a lady, but that's his best woman. I'm the best woman, but we both the best women. So the party was fantastic. It was like off the chain. Even though I didn't get to dance that much, I did boogie a little bit. But to see everybody having a great time, to see all the things that happened, the cake was fantastic. Everything was just awesome that night. And not just, look, I'm still rambling. Like, things are going through my head like a motion picture. But it was awesome. And the wedding night was so mind your business.